I've been here since 3 p.m., so 17 hours in total.
Started to line up at 5:30 in the morning. Chicken is crispy and it's also juicy.
I ate the chicken, I ate the spaghetti. I think it's delicious. It's nothing like I've ever tried before.
My first time having the Filipino spaghetti. It's sweet spaghetti and I love it.
Palabok. It's really awesome. Amazing thing.
I had the peach mango pie. It's really good because I haven't had it in so long. It's been like 3 years.
The whole team, me in particular, is very excited. I just want them to experience why we Filipinos love it.
When you're sitting at a table at Jolliefund eating chicken, it's more than just food, it's family.
It takes me back. It's like when you're a child and you haven't had something in a long time.
I grew up with Jolliefund, so namiss ko na, matagal na akong dinakakain.
I felt like I was back home. Feeling ko nasa Pilipinas ako ngayon.
There are many things to be happy about, and at Jolliefund, we're here to celebrate the joy of eating delicious food with the people that you love. And we hope to do the same to the people of Toronto.
I'm very satisfied on my paghihintay at pagod na wala dahil because of this.
Bida, ang saya!
Bida ang saya!
Bida ang saya!
As I show kind of the state of the world in terms of who has money, who doesn't, I just wanted to keep that in mind. It's part of the reason I want to help. It's really clear in the Bible, it's really clear in all the religious instructions of almost every religion in the world that the people who have the power, who have the resources, are meant to serve God in a way by helping the people who don't. So here's a graph or a chart of who has money and how much money do they have. So start at the very top. 1% of people have more than 50 million. So, you know, those are the super wealthy people. You know, yeah, that'd be nice to have that much, but you know, if only 1 out of 100 people can have that in the world. And their total wealth makes up 46% of all the money in the world. So the top 1% of people with money have just shy of half of it. And then one step down, these are people who have between 5 million and 50 million. So that's 11% of the people in the world. These are all adults, so kids are just not included. So they have 40% of the wealth. So the top 12% have 85% of all the money in the world. Then one step down, this is 1.7 billion. This is 33% of the people in the world. They have between 500,000 and 5 million pesos. So now we're at like 98% of all the money, 98.7%. So now at the very bottom is people with less than 500,000 worth of money. And you know, that includes if you have a house or any assets you own, that includes. But as you can see, 1.3% of the money among 55% of the people. So over half of the world is having to fight over 1% of the money in the world. Meanwhile, the other 45% are sharing in the 98.7% of the money. So, you know, if you're religious, if you believe in God, if you have any sense of fairness, how can you say, okay, more than half of the world will live on 1% of what we have? Then the other half will get to live on 99% of what we have. Like, it's egregious, you know. It's totally immoral. And the problem is, you know, if you look at the second chart, the 500,000 to 5 million, it's like those people are looking above them and saying, oh, this person has 5 million, this person has 50 million. I want to get there, you know. So in the end, nobody gives any money away. Even at the very top, I mean, they give money away, but it's like 1 to 2% of what they earn. So a super wealthy guy who has hundreds or billions, you know, they're giving away 1%, which seems like a lot until you realize it's just 1% of what you're making. Like, that's not helping fix the world. And the problem is it's going in the wrong direction, especially with COVID. So the people on the bottom are getting even less, and then the people on the top are getting even more, because the governments are printing all this money to try to keep things going, and most of the money doesn't make it to the bottom. It goes to the business owners, it goes to the people who own real estate or property. So I just feel like at a certain point you have to just look at this chart and say, this is too much, you know. I'm not okay with 1% of the money being shared among the bottom half of the world. Like, it has to get better than this, and if it's not going to, then I'll just do the best I can, because it's like we're all gonna die, we're all gonna meet God, and you know, you'd have a hard time, I think, explaining when he told you, take care of the poor because that's how you can take care of me while you're living. And you know, people are buying yachts, they're buying mansions, they're buying Lamborghinis, Ferraris. It's like they could be donating hundreds and thousands and millions of kilos of rice. So, I mean, I don't earn enough to fix this problem, obviously. As you see, I can help a little to a few people, but not even anywhere near who's asking me. That's why I want to do a building fund, like the Jolliefund. So the Jolliefund is meant to help you out, but more than that, it's meant to show you how to get from the very bottom up to like at least one tier up. You know, my goal is, hey, I show you maybe if you can afford 1,000 a month. You know, I know it's a lot, but you know, even if you can't afford that, even less, it's like, but to start using it in a way that's going to benefit your future. That's really my goal, is to show you guys how to make money with money in the smartest possible way, because almost nobody's doing it. You know, 1 to 2% of people in the Philippines are doing it. And you know, I feel hesitant a little, because I know a lot of you probably can't afford to do this. That's why for the Jolliefund, we're buying your first stock for you guys. So we're going to buy you 10 shares of Jollibee, which, you know, there's about 100 million people, 107 million people in the Philippines. So if we buy you 10 shares, it's like you own your share as a person in the Philippines. If Jollibee was split up evenly among everybody, you would get your cut with 10 shares. So that's why we're going to help you buy your first 10 shares. And then after that, hopefully you'll see how it works. Hopefully it makes a little money for you if it works out with Jollibee earning. And our hope is that you'll buy more, or maybe you'll want to buy SM or San Mig, or most of the companies that you've heard of in the Philippines are public, and you can buy, you can invest into them. So we're going to be experimenting with how to set up an account, and if all of that goes well, then we can open up the fund on a larger scale. So yeah, that's kind of our plan for now. So before you ever invest in a company, know that the price is going to fluctuate a lot. Some days you'll be making money, some days you'll be losing money. What's really happening is there's thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people who are all buying and selling, and like if there's bad news like coronavirus, like that's horrible news for Jollibee, right? So the Jollibee stock, since coronavirus, I'm sure it's very hit hard. So let's look. Here, maybe we can see on the chart here. Yeah, so actually it was around 300, and then when coronavirus hit, yeah, wow, it dropped to 107, 102. So people were panicking. So if you had money back then and you were able to invest, and you say, well, I think Jollibee will survive, you'd have doubled your money already. So these are the kind of opportunities, but it's like you need to know how it works. You need to have some stake. But at the same time, if you had bought 3 years ago, you'd have lost money because of the damage that COVID has done. So, you can't really predict COVID, but, if you look at all time, okay, 1994, it was 8 pesos a share. So imagine if you had put all your money into Jollibee because you knew how investing worked, and you said, hey, this chicken is really good and they're buying a lot of other companies, I bet this will make me a lot of money. Whoever owns this learn a lot. You would have been really right. You would have, my gosh, 30, 40 times your money back. So, if you had invested 10,000 in 1994 into Jollibee, you would have 400,000 almost. No, like 250,000, but still, I mean, that's the power of companies, because they're always earning money, almost always. COVID is a really rare exception here. Like, as you can see, the chart goes up and up and up and up and up and up, and then crash, COVID. Like, before COVID, the last 26 years were, every year it's making money almost, and getting more valuable. So that's the benefit of owning a company versus holding money. The company is always doing whatever it can to create profits for you as the owner of that company. So let's go back to Jollibee. Okay, so a quick history here. In 1975, it opened up as an ice cream parlor, and I think they had a few locations where they just sold ice cream, and then they hired like a business advisor, and he told them you should sell food. So they added the burger, the burger, and then in 1980 they added Chicken Joy. Some mascots. So they started TV advertising in 1983. First international one in Taiwan. So okay, so in 1991 they opened their 100th store, and yeah, so $9 a share. If you bought it when it first came out, you only had to pay 9 pesos for 1 share of Jollibee. Yeah, and within the same year the price doubled, so if you would have bought it right away, you could have doubled your money later in that year. Okay, so this is kind of the interesting part. So McDonald's and a bunch of international chains didn't like this growth. They didn't like, oh my god, they already have 100 stores in just like 10 years. Because American companies very much want to defend American business. They don't want Jollibee coming to America. That's like their worst their worst nightmare is a foreign competitor stealing American business, because American prices are just a lot higher. You know, you could sell Chicken Joy for double or triple and make a lot more profit in America. So all these international chains are coming to the Philippines partly to sell, but honestly, if you look at the number of places that opened up, it looks more like they're trying to starve out Jollibee from earning enough money to afford to expand into America because it's so expensive. So Jollibee is very clever here, the people who run it. So they just start consolidating. So McDonald's comes in, they're the number 2. So then Jollibee buys Greenwich Pizza, and then they open another 100 stores within 3 years. So yeah, basically they're now consolidating their power in the Philippines to fight off the foreign threat. So now all the money that is spent at Greenwich comes back to Jollibee, okay? And then they opened their 100th Greenwich just 3 years after acquiring them. So they're rapidly growing different brands. You know, a few years later they buy Chowking, and yeah, they're just rapidly opening, buying new ones. They buy Red Ribbon, a couple years after Chowking, 5 years after Chowking. Let's see. Okay, now they're starting to buy, like, I don't know how to pronounce it, Yanghi King, a Chinese restaurant. And okay, so they're opening Zenith Foods. I don't know, I've never even heard of it, but you probably know what that is. So they're up to 500 stores now, 600 stores. Let's see. Jollytown TV show. Maybe you guys watched that growing up. So yeah, they're like stepping up their advertising basically. They buy Hongzhuang Yan. I don't know. Sorry, if you know how to pronounce that. Sorry. Okay, so then yeah, first store in the Middle East, and in 2010 they buy 70% of Mang Inasal. So they're very much, you know, this is 11 years ago, but now they've got pretty much a stranglehold on quick service food in the Philippines. So then in 2011 they start bringing this outside of the Philippines. So Chowking goes to Qatar, Red Ribbon goes to Hawaii, Jollibee goes to Hawaii, and then this is very clever. So McDonald's was like the thorn in their side, and then Burger King is now coming into the Philippines. So Jollibee buys Burger King as, like, you know, imagine you're getting attacked by outsiders, and then you buy just a whole chain of an outsider company. So you can now bring that revenue into Jollibee. Let's see. They buy Jolliefund. Let's see. Okay, they buy Cebu, or joint operating, so they own some of it. So more expansion into the Middle East. They buy Superfood Group, which owns Highland Coffee and Pro24. They buy Sanping Wan. So essentially all the money they're making, you know, they're making money from Jollibee, they're making money from Greenwich, from Mang Inasal, and then Burger King, and all these other small chains. They're just piling that money up, and they're just going and buying more. So that's how the value of the stock can go from 8 pesos to 200 pesos, because what used to just be a few Jollibee stores when it was 8 pesos, now it's all of these different international chains and many thousands of restaurants, and the amount of money they're earning is in, you know, the billions, tens of billions some years. So it's like you get to benefit from all of this activity, from all these workers, from all these acquisitions, from all these deals. Like, all you had to do was open up a stock trading account and just put some money in it and then buy the Jollibee, and you would have 20x'd your money, 30x'd your money because of all the success. It could have been working for you. And it's like, it can start working for you right now, but you need to open up the account and you need to buy it. And, you know, nothing is for sure. I mean, Jollibee could run into huge problems. Maybe they'll run out of money or people will stop eating there, but I wouldn't bet on that. I I would bet that, based on this track record, I would think they would continue to see success, especially the fact they're already profitable again during these lockdowns. So their business seems pretty resilient. Okay, so Red Ribbon opens a 250 store. Let's see. Yeah, they're just opening more stores. Okay. Yeah, so it's like they're so influential now that they're partnering with the Department of Tourism. Like, you would just never see that in America, where like a food brand has that kind of influence, So I think it's a really good investment here. Okay, so now they're starting to do delivery. Let's see. Okay, first store in Canada. Actually, I think that's where the video came from. I'm not sure if it's the first one, but it's one of the Canadian ones they opened up. Which is where all the Filipinos are so excited they waited a really long time. But I think they got a bunch of free Chicken Joy for a year or something for camping out the longest. Anyways, okay, so yeah, here's their, what year is this? 2016. So now they're coming into America finally. They've got the revenue base to come in and chase that money here. Because, places like New York, I don't know, I think it's very significantly Filipino population there. So it's a great place to make money. They just need the huge amount of money up front to get those New York locations. They're just astronomically expensive. But once you have them, you can sell Chicken Joy to expatriates to, for huge amounts of money. So that's really where the money could be for this company going forward. Yeah, okay. So that's a quick history. Let's see. It's become an investor. I want here. Okay. Jollibee, Greenwich, Chowking. Yeah, I'm sure these are all. Oh, I didn't see that, but they bought Smash Burger, so that's an American burger chain. So, in my opinion, the Jollibee burger, as an American, it doesn't really suit my taste, but I think they knew that, so they bought an American burger chain in America to try to get some American revenue coming in, basically. So, with already pretty well-established burger chain there. There we go. So here's every company needs to legally file these documents. So you can find it every 3 months, or usually they put more effort into their yearly. So it's like once you own the stock, if you want to see how the company is doing, they'll issue these reports to let you know as an investor how your investment is doing. So, I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's very long. I don't have any Jollibee stock myself, but they break it down. So Jollibee, Greenwich, Chowking, they just talk about how each of their chains are doing, kind of what they see going forward. Yeah, that's that American burger brand they bought. Okay, so here's kind of where you see the real numbers, like the health of the business, how things are going. So, yeah, as you see, they're growing the revenue year over year, but then due to COVID, their revenue dropped from 179 billion down to 129 billion. So they lost 50 billion in revenue due to COVID, which is pretty horrible. But you got to think of it as a one-time thing. So, the stock was around 300, now it's 200. Yeah, this year's going to be rough again. Maybe next year will be kind of rough. But I would bet, I'd be willing to bet my own money on an investment in this that by like 2023, 2024, that everyone will be vaccinated, and I doubt their numbers will be any lower than they have historically been in any given year. So, Yeah, okay, so your earnings per share. So in 2018, they made 7.5 pesos per share. 2019, 6.68 pesos per share in profit. And then in 2020, negative, so that's a loss. So they lost 10.4 pesos per share. But anytime you lose 50 billion in revenue, that's kind of gonna happen, So, really, really scared people are afraid to invest in something that's losing money. But it's like you have to understand why they're losing money, and that's probably not going to happen. And like I said, I looked forward into the first quarter, or the last quarter they reported, and they had a profit again. So, yeah, I mean, this might look Greek to you, and that's kind of okay too. Really the question you need to be able to answer yourself if you were going to buy this for yourself is you just say, okay, it went from 8 pesos, now it's 200 pesos because they've bought and they've grown all these businesses under this one stock. Do I think Jollibee will continue to make money, or do I think they're going to lose money? Like, those, if the answer is yes, I think it's going to make money. In a lot of ways, that's really all you need to know whether or not you think it's a good investment. So, the truth is most people feel more comfortable letting someone else do their investing because they feel like, well, I just don't know. I don't know enough about business. I can't, maybe you can't read this or you don't understand. Like, I would encourage you to try to learn, maybe take a class if you can on how to read a financial statement. But, when you think about it, there's artificial intelligence programs, there's really professional money managers who work in New York. It's like they're all looking at this to see if there's opportunity. And if they think it's bad, they'll sell it. If they think it's good, they'll buy it. All that to say that, generally speaking, most things are pretty well priced. COVID kind of threw everything up in the air. But, if this was really overpriced, smart people would be selling it. If it was really underpriced, smart people would be buying it. So, to some degree, you have to respect the artificial intelligence algorithms that are trading stocks, and the people in New York who are the professional money managers to the ultra wealthy who've got like connections with everybody on everything. So they're all kind of agreeing that 196 is a good price, and you can kind of take the word for it. And I would be comfortable betting a lot of money that in 10 years that this stock will be over 200. So things could, there could be another pandemic, God forbid. Like, there's a lot of things that could happen. But if you were gonna try to get the best future for yourself, are you better off keeping 200 in your house and never using it? Or are you better buying one share of Jollibee with it? I would say nine times out of 10, maybe more, you're better off letting the business grow your money for you. So that's why we're doing this fund. That I've made quite a bit of money. I bought my trucking business, but once that was going, then I started just making some investments into American companies. And in your case, you're probably better off buying Filipino companies because, one, it's what you know, it's probably more comfortable for you. And two, usually there's a lot of tax and investment advantages to investing in the country that you live in. Like if you bought American stocks, which maybe one day you should, but you would have to pay a lot of American tax whenever you made money with them. So it just adds an extra layer of complexity to investing. So yeah, I'm going to work with Isa. I'm going to try to get her to figure out what kind of ID she needs, have her sign up for a brokerage with her ID, and then just deposit like $2,000, and then see if we can buy 10 shares. And if we can execute that and that works fine, in November we'll try 3 people, I think. Maybe late October, early November. We're going to ask for 3 people. We'll make a short video about it. And, maybe people who work at Jollibee or one of the companies, it'd be kind of cool that, essentially we'll say, hey, look, you worked at that company to make this profit for all these investors. So we want you to be a part of the money that you're making, It's like you go into work every day to do your best to earn money, but it's like, who are you earning the money for? It's the shareholders. So if you don't have any shares, you're working to make someone else even more rich. So I just like the idea that you're going to work and you're getting the benefit of your work back. You know, you're benefiting yourself by putting in a hard day's work at Jollibee, Greenwich, Chowking, Red Ribbon, Mang Inasal, Highland, Coffee Bean, any of these, Tea Leaf. So, you know, yeah, if you work at any of these companies and you're interested in having shares in them, having some ownership in where you work, just send us an email, and then, you know, I don't know how many we'll get, but if we just get a few, hopefully we can experiment with you guys and figure out what kind of ID you guys need to open up those accounts, and you guys can get some shares and learn how to make money with money. So, alright, well, I hope you're excited, but kind of a long video, but I just wanted to get it all out there. So, alright, have a good day, everyone. Alright, bye.